Hey everyone, I'm back with another process using the Felicity Jane kits. And so it is a Mix It Monday, and so I am mixing a bunch of kits together with the Cocoa kit. And so if you know anything about me, you know that I do not celebrate the holidays. And so I always struggle to create something with a holiday themed kit, and this year is no different. So I really love the papers from the Cocoa kit. They are gorgeous, and there are a lot of patterns that I can use for something other than like Christmas. And so that was my first instinct to go with for this project is the papers. And so you see here that I have all these papers on my desk besides like the little scraps are from the Cocoa kit. And what I've decided to do is create a little Polaroid tag banner. And so usually around this time I tend to create some sort of decor piece for the new year, just kind of to spruce up my kind of crafty area a little bit. And so I decided to create a new Polaroid tag banner using the gorgeous Felicity Jane kits. And so what I'm doing is I am using this template you see here, and I am just tracing out the Polaroid shape onto the papers here. And so these are all cocoa papers, and then I traced it onto a scrap that I had from the Catherine kit. And so the kits that I'm using here are cocoa, Catherine, and a bit of Tori. I think from Tori I only actually end up using the girl, like the girl card of Tori, like the girl Tori. And I do end up using some butterfly die cuts that I have from the Megan kit, which is a pretty old kit, but you can actually get that kit in a digital format. And so I am going back and forth. That's this whole process in the beginning, is just going back and forth and cutting out my Polaroids. And so you see here that I've kind of sped this up a little bit, and I am now trimming out the inside portion of the Polaroids, so the little square. And so you see the Polaroids that I have done up on the top right. So I have one using the bow paper from the Cocoa kit. I have one using that pink, it's like a pink snowflakey paper from the Cocoa kit. And then that one that I just placed down, the star one, that is that star paper from Catherine. I love that paper. I used a scrap that I had left of that paper. Love that star paper, and it matches so well. That's the one thing I love about Felicity Jane kits, is that no matter what the theme of the kit is, there's always pieces that match with previous kits. And so I think that's what makes Mix It Monday so fun. And so the last one you saw there was that mint blue paper from the Cocoa kit. It has the snowflake stars all over it. And so here, these are the photos that I'm using. And I'm trying to figure out what Polaroid looks best on what photo. And obviously I have to trim down my photos quite a bit because they're a bit big for the inside of the Polaroid, but you'll see my process here of how I go about doing that. I find like where I want to position the Polaroid on the photo, and I just tack it down in the back with some washi tape to get it in place, and then I use some double-sided tape and my zig glue pen to adhere it, and then I'm taking it to my trimmer and just trimming off the excess photo parts of it so that it looks like a handy dandy Polaroid. And so that's that one there of my dog Joey. And so I put that one aside, and I just continue to work like that and finding like the best Polaroid to like pattern to photo match. And you see here, especially with the photos of my journals, trying to kind of pick where I would want the window, like what part of the photo I want to show. And so this is one of my journals that I took, like an array of the journal covers. And so I put the pink Polaroid on that one, and I'm just putting it down. And you saw that I was kind of fussing about placement. Like my thing was like which journal covers I wanted to show in the photograph, and which ones I kind of wanted to like cut out, basically. But yeah, I really like how this project turned out. My intention was just to do Polaroids, but you'll see a little later on that I actually end up having to create a few tags for kind of filler. And so here I'm putting the bow Polaroid onto the photo of myself. And I took this photo. It's one of the photos that I took towards the beginning of the year. It's the one that I took to announce my little creative self-portrait project. That was earlier on this year. I think maybe towards the beginning of quarantine. And my intention for this year was to take a bunch of these self-portraits, and I took a few, but I really kind of want to take more. I kind of want to beef up my game next year. And so this banner, one, it's a cute decor piece, yeah, that I'm creating for my crafty space. I want to hang it above, like on the wall above my desk. But I also kind of want it to be kind of like a nice sort of inspiration banner for the new year. And so I'm trying to kind of just weave a little bit of intentions into it. And so I always have my dog. I love him so much. And always a photo of myself, but I do want to focus more on journaling and art journaling. That's why I have a picture of my art journals and my journals, because that was something that I didn't actually do this year at all. And then I chose words that I just kind of wanted to have focused on. I also needed to make do with what I had in the Felicity Jane Silhouette store, and so I picked out a few words that are very inspiring and motivating, like motivational for me. And I create this cute little banner. So you see here, I actually had to cut another Polaroid out. So I'm using that beautiful plaid paper from the Cocoa kit because I only had like one black and white paper, which was the bow paper, and I felt like that star pattern that I had didn't really fit well with my journals there, and so I end up using this plaid paper on top of that. Like, I just needed a black and white because my photo was a little bit colorful, and so I just kind of cut another one. It wasn't a problem, and I used more of the cocoa papers. And I love that plaid. I was going to use that plaid for the back of one of the tags. I think I was going to use it for layering up the little Tori piece, because I want to use Tori and I kind of want her to be in the center just because she looks so cool and confident. And yeah, I'm okay. I'm using the cup files. A couple, you see them off towards the right hand side. I'm using some cup files from the Felicity Jane Silhouette store. You can find them in the Silhouette store. I'll probably leave a link in the description below, but it's definitely all linked in the blog post up on the Felicity Jane site, which I'll hopefully leave a link to as well. But you can see here, these are the kind of words or phrases that I print and cut. And one of them is sparkle, the other one is joy, and in the center, like the one that I wanted to use for my focal point, was this one that says you're a star. And I wanted to use either the Tory die cut or that beautiful card. We get a card, you know how each kit comes with like a packaging card that in the back says thank you for your purchase, blah blah, I hope you enjoy your kit, blah blah blah. So for the Tory kit, there was this card that came with Tori on it, and I wanted to put her initially in a Polaroid, but you'll see later on what I end up doing with her. So that's why she kind of has that Catherine Star paper Polaroid over her. And so, okay, this is me fussing with everything. I'm trying to figure out placement of where I want to put certain things. You can see here that I really wanted to use that plaid for that center, but it didn't work out because I used it on the Polaroid for my journals. And so I spent a lot of time, just an obscene amount of time, trying to figure out how I wanted to place everything. And I pulled out another scrap from, I believe that's also from the Catherine kit, to maybe I needed to place Tori on that paper and to make it bigger. And so I think this is where I realized that I'm gonna need something else. So it's not gonna be 5 Polaroids hanging on a banner. There needs to be something else like on the banner with the Polaroids. And so I am looking through my scrap pieces of paper. I pulled out a lot of journaling cards that I thought I wanted to use. I only actually end up using one. which I kind of cut apart. But this is me figuring out that, hey, I need some tags. And so I had a tag that I had already made for something else. And so I'm just kind of using that as a template and tracing it out of some of my Catherine paper scraps that I have. And so I'm tracing this one. I'm actually cutting this one out of that star paper because I used it in that Polaroid tag, that Polaroid that I actually didn't use. And I kind of want some of that star pattern here because I do end up using the chipboard, the gold chipboard stars from the Cocoa kit. And yeah, I also want that star motif only because of the "you are a star" and then that sparkle, like, star sparkle. Just, it's a theme happening here. And so here, every time I pull something out to add, I'm just kind of like repositioning all of the different Polaroids just to see how well the colors flow, or like the patterns. Like, I don't want to have the star pattern next to Tori in the center because I am going to use that star Polaroid on that, and so on. You see here, I took one of the Cocoa tags out, thinking that maybe I can use those, but I didn't like how they looked. But I did take out the chipboard stars, so I do end up actually using that from the Cocoa kit. So this is where I took out the Megan die cuts, and I'm basically pulling out all of the butterflies and the florals. I don't actually end up using the florals, but I do end up using, I think, almost all of the butterflies, or at least some of them butterflies, just as embellishments to accent this banner. And I spend quite a bit of time doing that. So for that tag, I am trying to build up what I'm going to put in the back. I do kind of want to place that big butterfly. It's the biggest butterfly die cut from Megan, on that tag, and I'm trying to figure out what sort of papers I can layer on the back, only because that star pattern paper is a bit busy. Like, there's a lot happening there, and I feel like that butterfly, that mint, like a pale mint green butterfly, kind of blends in a little bit too much. In the end, I just kind of pull it apart, and honestly, I just continue to fuss over all the things. You'll see me here rearranging stuff, so I end up putting the joy on that tag, and I'm kind of putting butterflies all over the place just to see how they look. I think it was at this point I realized that the Polaroids needed butterflies and that I wasn't going to use the florals. I was just going to use all the butterfly pieces and the chipboard pieces. And so I'm just laying out where I want to use a butterfly die cut and where I want to use a star chipboard piece. And so I realized that I needed to make another tag to balance out that one tag. And so I go and fetch another paper from the Catherine kit. I believe this was another scrap that I had. And I trace out the tag and cut out a tag from this floral paper. So basically all of the Polaroids, all of the Polaroids are from the Cocoa papers, and the tags are Catherine papers. And so I have the star tag, and then I have the floral tag, and then where Tori is in the center, I use that black and white. It's like a black and white kind of star, actually, pattern there for the center. And I don't actually cut that into a tag until I think the very end when I start working on that. But right now I am just working on the Polaroids and the other individual tags. And so I believe this arrangement that I should just arranged my pieces in is going to be the final arrangement of how everything is going to lay on the banner. And so for that floral tag, I'm going to put sparkle there with the butterfly and that chipboard star. And then for the other one, I'm just going to use joy. And so I think this is when I go and start working on each individual piece because I have some idea of how everything's going to look. I decided to put the butterflies up on these little form squares just to give it some dimension, and so it kind of like pops off of the tag because this is going to be a banner, and so it's going to be on my wall. And so instead of keeping everything so that it looks like flat, I just kind of pop them up on some foam, so just to give it some nice dimension. And so you see here, I took that card. It was a journaling card from the Catherine kit, and I just trimmed out the "This is me" bit, and I tried my best to kind of cut it evenly. It didn't happen very well, so I just kind of cut it into a banner, and it's actually a really, really wonky banner, but I think it's fine. And I just kind of put it, I staple it, I take my tiny attacher and I just kind of stapled it onto the Polaroid. Not quite centered, just so that the little flag hangs off of the side of the Polaroid. And then I take a puffy sticker from, I believe this is the Tory puffy stickers, and just put a bow there. And then I put a little white clothespin on top, and I moved that to the side because that Polaroid is now finished. And so I think I'm working on the Joey Polaroid, that's of my dog, and I pulled out the Catherine alphas because I think I want to use that. What I really wanted to use was this happy on this journaling card here, also from Catherine. I wasn't sure if I wanted to cut it out like I did the other one, or try my best to recreate the happy using the alphas from the Catherine kit. The thing about the alphas is that I didn't have the coordinating colors to match the ones that are on the card. And so I fuss a lot with this, and I'm probably not going to show you the whole thing, but what I end up doing is taking an R and turning it into a P because I didn't want to repeat colors, and I also didn't want to use that really dark pink color, like that it's almost like a cherry red color. I didn't want to use that, and so I just snip a R to use that as a P instead. So once I have my happy, I just kind of put it right at the bottom of the Polaroid. And so I just have happy there, and then I just embellish it with a little cherry puffy sticker from the Catherine puffies, and that is that one. And so now I'm working on the journal, the art journal Polaroid with that beautiful plaid paper, and I put the butterfly up on a foam dot and put that there. Now I'm working simultaneously with the other Polaroid, and I do apologize that it's slightly off frame, but I kind of put another butterfly on that one, and then I go back to the plaid Polaroid and include the Dream puffy sticker onto that one. And that one's not quite finished. I do go back in and add some puffy stars stickers to that. For the other one, I just kind of put a butterfly on it for now, and then I switched gears and moved over to the tag that says Sparkle. I did want to put all the butterflies on some foam squares, and so I think that's what I ended up doing there, and then leaving that alone and coming back to something else. And so I jump around quite a bit when making this banner, only because, you know, I like symmetry, and I like things to be to feel equal on both sides, and so when I do something on one side of the banner, I kind of want to repeat it to the other side of the banner, and so on. So I kind of jump around a lot. So here I pulled out some epoxy stickers and some of those those little itty bitty puffy stickers. I end up using the ones from the Brooke kit because they had beautiful stars that matched. I think this is the moment where I realized that my tags needed something, and so I took my scallop punch and I am just using the squares that I cut out from the Polaroids to make some scallop circles in order to put on the tags so the joy piece doesn't kind of blend in with all those stars in the background, so it kind of pops up a little bit. I also took my little hole reinforcer punch just to punch out some hole reinforcements, but from some of the pattern papers, because I think that creates a really nice touch. And so for this joy tag, I end up making a scallop circle from that mint blue paper from the Coco kit, and I'm just putting the joy on top of that and then putting that in the center of that tag there. And I think that mint paper helps ground the joy die cut a little bit so that it just doesn't fade into that. Not that it will fade because it's black, it's printed black, but there's some sort of extra element and dimension on that. And so then I put one of the gold foiled chipboard stars, and then you saw that I put some of the puffy star stickers there. And here's where I go back into the other Polaroid to add some more puffy stars onto that one too. And so yeah, I continue to jump about everywhere. For this one, I punched a hole reinforcement out of that mint blue paper, and I'm going to put that there. And then I'm going to figure out how to layer up these. I end up pulling out some more of the squares that I had cut out from when I was making the Polaroids, and I am just cutting out or punching out some scallop circles because that floral pattern is also a bit busy too. And again, I wanted something that the butterfly can kind of pop off of. I realized that that star paper from Catherine would be really, really nice. But also the yellow, like I have yellow scattered about the banner, like here and there, but not that much. And so my idea was to layer two of the scallops together so that a little bit of that yellow pops out. But that I realized that I needed another scallop because it's the same paper, it's just the front and the backs of the papers. And so that's what I ended up doing. I ended up layering that Catherine paper, the star part, on top of the yellow part, so the scallops kind of come out like that. And then I layer the butterfly on, like kind of off center on that, along with the sparkle, and then the chipboard star goes on top of that. And so that creates a really, really cute kind of dimensional tag there. And I do go ahead and embellish afterwards with a few of those the little itty bitty puffy star stickers from the Brooke kit. So basically my whole, I think, left side of my banner is done. The right side is not quite done because I still had that pink Polaroid that still needed something. And so I kind of copied what I did on my Polaroid with my dog, and I pulled out the puffy alpha stickers again, and I just kind of pulled out love and placed it there because it was a word that I hadn't used yet, and that fit, like, you know, it fit in that little spot where that little the Polaroid part is. And so I put that there, and then I embellish the top corner of that particular Polaroid with a puffy sticker from the Catherine kit. And then of course had to add a few more puffy stars to things. So many lily stars. And so all of those are done. I'm just seeing if anything needs a star sticker here or there. But once I'm pretty satisfied with all of those, I go to work on the center tag, which is the one that will have Tori on it and the "You Are a Star" sentiment. And so I take my little template and I am cutting it out of that paper. Now that paper, I kind of left the branding strip on that. So the branding strip is that mint diagonal stripe. And so I cut the tag in a way that still had that branding strip on it. And this tag is a little bit longer than the other tags, but that's because I wanted to keep most, if not all, of that branding strip there. And so you see me here, I kind of go back and forth with either the little Tory die cut or the card. The thing about the card is that it was so big that it kind of took away from the pattern paper that I wanted to show. And so I was trying to make the die cut work, but for some reason I didn't like it. I think for me, for it to be the centerpiece of the banner, I really wanted it to stand out. And like the "You Are a Star" die cut that I cut from the cut file is so bold that it stands out already, and little Tori kind of gets a little lost. And so you see me here that I switched it out. I was like, no, the bigger Tori needs to be on this. And I'm just like, maybe if I put it in the Polaroid and put it off center, then you'll still see some of the pattern paper of the tag left over. And then I'm like, oh, I can use these scallop circles that I just punched out. And nothing was working until I realized that I needed to fussy cut Tori out of the card. And so that is what I ultimately end up doing. So once I have Tori fussy cut it out, then I begin to kind of figure out what I want to do on that tag. I really still wanted the Polaroid to be kind of off-centered and sort of like hanging off the side. And I did want that pink scallop piece to be behind her because since she's so white, I didn't want her to get lost in the white background of the tag. And so there needed to be something there in the back to kind of help pop her out a little bit. And so you see me here, I kind of struggle a little bit with trying to tape everything down, especially the Polaroid. What I end up doing is I end up taping the Polaroid to Tori in a way in which that she kind of comes out of the Polaroid. So she kind of like pops out a little bit at the top of the Polaroid, like her hair kind of pops out. So it looks like she's just popping out of the Polaroid. And it creates some nice fun dimension. It's still being like a flat piece. It creates a nice little dimension and some movement onto this tag. But yeah, I struggle a lot with trying to glue this down in a right way. I use some double-sided tape that it's so hard to pull up things once you stick it down, and so I think this was a mistake. I didn't really want her to come out so much, but again, I stuck her down and I can't really pull it back up without tearing paper, so I just went with it. I trimmed a little bit of her shirt off the bottom, and now I'm just kind of gluing everything down so that everything is a bit more secure before I put her down on the tag. And so I put her down on the tag sort of diagonally so that the Polaroid looks very off-centered, and then I put the "You Are a Star" on the bottom left, and then once I do that, I glue the whole thing down to the actual tag. So how I'm embellishing this, I'm adding another butterfly on a foam pad on the top, so she has some dimension there, and then I'm also adding another one of the gold foil chipboard stars, and I do go in with a puffy sticker, again the smaller star puffy stickers, and then I add that yellow heart puffy from the Catherine kit. And so for this tag, I think I end up pulling out like a hot pink. I tried two different versions to get the whole reinforcement. I pull out just a scrap of pink cardstock that I believe came in the Catherine kit, and then another Catherine paper that had it was more of that cherry red, but it was a stripe, but I didn't like how the stripe looked like on the reinforcement. And so I ended up just using the solid pink paper and just adding my whole and the reinforcement there. And once I had that there, I just put my little clip and all of my pieces are done. And so the last part of creating this banner is to take out some trim. And so this little kind of fluffy, fuzzy trim is from the Cocoa kit. It came in the Cocoa trim pack, and it was just long enough to string everything onto the banner, or to create the banner. And so I kind of, tried my best with spacing everything out. I do adjust it once I put it up on my wall, though. That's probably the best way to kind of position everything, is just to get it on the string and then get the string up on your wall just to see how everything falls, like naturally, and then just adjust and move things around. But right now I'm just trying my best to space everything evenly onto this, and that's basically it. That is my banner. It came out so cute. I can't wait to permanently put it up on my wall once I've figured out what all of my decor pieces are. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this process. Here it's just a few photos of the banner. Definitely do check out the blog posts on the Felicity Jane site for the other close-up photos of the individual pieces of the banner. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!